Hey everybody, I'm back.
She's back for the third time.
Of course.
Yeah, it's great. I love this. This is fun for me. So instead of asking to introduce yourself a third time, what do you think is a extremely nerdy thing about you that's related to Harry Potter?
Well, I do have a Harry Potter tattoo, and it's the symbol of the Deathly Hallows.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a triangle. It looks kind of like the Illuminati triangle, which a lot of people have mistaken it for, and I'm like, no.
So that's a fun conversation.
That is a fun conversation
Over
but
coffee.
It's the triangle, which symbolizes the invisibility cloak,
Mm-hmm.
the circle, which is the resurrection stone,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a line through the circle, which symbolizes the Elder Wand.
I think, isn't that called like the Wand of Death or something like that?
It has many names.
Yeah. Like every good, evil thing, questionably evil thing, it has many names.
Yes.
So anyway, let's get into it. Let's get started with what this is going to be.
Yes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tales of Our Times. This is a show where we discuss the stories that move us, what makes them so meaningful, and why others should or could find meaning in them as well. This is not a spoiler-free show, so bear that in mind as you continue listening. We tackle movies, books, comics, and more. Where there's a story, there's a reason to read. Once again, like our last follow-up episode, this one is a little bit different from our usual format, so we will not be summarizing the book necessarily. We'll be covering our questions a little bit differently too. In this episode, we're following up on the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling, and we're going to be discussing themes that we saw, moments that moved us especially, and other kind of overtures that really shaped us for who we are and made that narrative special to us. Of course, I'm not alone today. I'm joined once again by my good friend, Michelle Chiang. Welcome back, Michelle. Welcome. Now that I'm here, I'm wondering if I should have asked you your Hogwarts house.
Oh, of course. Well, a lot of people, okay, don't judge me, guys, because you should always assume that there are many lovely wizards that come out of every house, but I am Slytherin.
Yeah, it makes sense. For those of us that know you, makes a lot of sense. And I mean that in a good way. You're a very ambitious person. Okay, let's get into more of what you took away from the series in general. So last time that we talked about this, you mentioned that something that you really liked about it was that you feel like it displays how one person can make a big difference.
Yes.
And like what scenes or what part of the book do you think best displayed that for you, or parts of the book?
I guess there was not any individual single part of the book that communicated that across, because even if you take the way of Harry the plot line of following Harry Potter, he seeks aid and he is aided by many people. But I do think, okay, so well, if you follow Harry Potter, his storyline, then yeah, he's the boy who technically there were two boys according to that prophecy that were born on the same night, and it could have been Neville Longbottom that was the boy who was prophesied instead of Harry Potter. But because the story wound up following, Voldemort chose to go to Harry Potter's house and kill his parents and start the story going, it wound up being this kid. And by following him, then it is a story of one simple, he's not particularly smart. And he's not
Harry,
Harry is, just Harry, right?
Right. I think his greatest quality when it comes to magic is people say that he has a lot of raw talent. And then he's very average in terms of like his intelligence.
Right. Everything else,
his like world knowledge are very everyman.
Very everyman. So that's where I think a lot of us pick up the feeling that one person can change the world, even like an everyman. So that was Harry.
He's a special everyman.
He is,
but only made special, as you said, like by the choice of somebody else.
Yes,
he was singled out rather than something that he did inherently himself.
Correct. Yeah, Voldemort made him the special man.
Voldemort and other people kind of through their actions, if you accept like Dumbledore and his actions as well.
Yeah.
But that gets me to a question that I've kind of been meaning to ask you. And I think you really like segued into it very beautifully, because you said that, all of this came from the choice. Voldemort picking Harry Potter and his family, the Potters, as the ones who must be special. So do you think that in this book, when it comes down to themes, there is a greater theme of fate, or is it a theme of choice that runs through it more often? Which one of those do you think rings true?
There are so many people who, and of course in the books themselves, the words fate and prophecy are said over and over and over again. But in fact, I believe that it's the entire story is a story of choice. Because every one of these events that happen and people who are made to be quote unquote special is because of others' choices. So it's am I a believer in fate? No.
Yeah, me neither. So maybe I'm a little bit, but here's the thing. I wouldn't say I'm undisposed to it, because it's a theme that I really like, especially a lot of magical novels come down to like something of fate. There's the idea that these two people's fate were tied together after Voldemort's choice. It's a very kind of like noble explanation for why things happen. So I'm not indisposed to it, but
can, for example, if something is fated to happen, can you then change it?
No, not if it's like the Greek fate. Then you're just tragically going to make it happen.
By
no
the
matter
by,
what.
I love the fates, as in the Greek
great.
mythological characters. They're so awesome.
They're so cool. They're so ugly though.
I know,
Weird.
it's fantastic.
That's also why I like them. But to that end though, what moments, besides the one that we've already discussed, what moments really drive home to you that this is a book that really displays your choices are what matter and what make you or others around you, what make you, rather than like anything that was quote unquote destined for you?
Okay, so there wasn't a specific scene, but it was a series of scenes that accumulate.
Yeah, or that just happened over the course of the book.
Right. So in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Dumbledore and Harry are learning, or rather Dumbledore is teaching Harry about Voldemort's past as Tom Riddle. And in the meantime, they're hunting Horcruxes.
And for those of you who haven't read or don't remember, a Horcrux is a way to store a part of your soul, kind of as like a death insurance plan, so that if you die, you can come back to life. If you will go back to your Horcrux and you have another chance at life.
Correct, because you still have a piece of your soul tied to this world.
Yes.
So they're hunting Horcruxes, and Dumbledore finds one and takes Harry to this cave where there's a pedestal and it has water in it. And Dumbledore figures out that he has to drink the water that's in the cup or the bowl in order to access the Horcrux that's on the bottom. And with every gulp, the drinker begins to relive the most horrible moments of your life. So Dumbledore insists on drinking rather than letting Harry do so.
Yes.
And while he's doing this, he's going through his not greatest hits, but the worst hits.
The opposite of your greatest hits.
The opposite,
your lowest lows.
Exactly, his lowest lows. And eventually he finishes the water in the bowl and manages to get the Horcrux. And he's very, very weak. But still manages to get them back to Hogwarts Castle, where they encounter the Death Eater's mark. And Snape is there waiting for them.
Well, Malfoy's there waiting for them.
Oh, yes. Malfoy is there waiting for them.
But I guess that actually is another moment. So this is a moment of choice that stuck out to you.
Yep.
There's a lot of big decisions that happen there. Which one do you think is the most meaningful?
So right then, Malfoy, who has been tasked with killing Dumbledore, he's just a kid, which makes him...
He's a 16-year-old.
He's a 16-year-old child. And he's tasked with this horrible job of killing this dude who is... Some people say the greatest wizard of their time. And at the very last minute, he chokes. He can't do it because I think he understands the gravity of this decision, and he is innately not evil.
Yeah, Malfoy, I think, is a good example of like a mean person, but not an evil person.
He's not evil, right. And Snape, who had vowed to protect Malfoy, steps up in his place and kills Dumbledore.
Well, and also the choice of Dumbledore to ask Snape to do that previously. Yes,
that was pictured previously. So this all plays in together, but it was Snape's decision to actually carry through with that, thereby fulfilling his vow to protect Malfoy, Draco. And help Dumbledore with along his journey because he was already suffering from a curse from putting on the Slytherin's ring. Do you remember that?
Salazar Slytherin's ring,
Yeah.
another Horcrux.
And he was already, 1 foot out the door. So this was, in a way, merciful.
Okay. And I mean, yeah, that's true. I think that now that you remind me of like that very pivotal scene, like a lot of the time people take away from that is like Dumbledore died. And I remember that being like the
Of course,
spoiler
it's
of
horrible.
the century. It was awful. But there's just a lot happening. There's a lot of really momentous and important choices that happen there that shape the end of the story at all, period. And even before that, like if you think about the choice of people to engage in these things versus people who are forced to engage in these things and what they do. And at the end, even Malfoy choosing for whatever reason, like, I'm not going to do it. Like, I can't do it. That's not who I am. And kind of like later on, like these people make those decisions that ends up changing how the rest of that story plays for them. So getting it, I don't think, I wanted to ask you what a scene that stuck with you most of all was. I'm going to guess it's not that one, but if you were most moved by any scene in the book, what was it? Or in the series, not the book. So
It's actually a tale within a tale, which is the reason why I have my tattoo, the Deathly Hallows, right?
In book 7.
And the story of the Deathly Hallows, to very, very quickly summarize, there are 3 brothers who manage to, they come up upon Death himself and manage to get away. The first brother asks for a wand that cannot be defeated. The second brother asks for a stone that, or the power to be able to revisit or bring back the dead.
Yeah. I think the love of his life died, so he wanted to see her the dead again.
Exactly. And then the last brother, being the smartest, he asked for a way to run away from Death without being followed. So basically what Death gave them was the Elder Wand, the Resurrection Stone, and the Invisibility Cloak.
Yeah, it's a cute little kind of fable, Tales of Beetle Bard, but it's a fable about being careful what you wish for.
Exactly.
Do you wish for power? Do you wish to change the inevitable? Or are you like wishing for more time?
Right. It's a fun fable because it's a fable within a fable that exists in a world of magic, right?
Yeah.
Not that regular fables don't include magic. They mostly do.
Yeah, but it kind of opens up a world that like, I would posit for me what made that story really interesting and like wild is that to us, the readers, like this Harry Potter world is wild, fantastical, and beyond belief. To the characters within the story, it's kind of a meta thing because the Tales of Beetle Bard is a wild story that's just a story. It's beyond belief. Come to find out that it's true. So that's them uncovering a world that they never knew existed.
Right.
It is a really cool kind of like step back moment.
Yep.
Where the characters experience like what the readers experienced when we first read it.
Exactly. Very meta. Yeah.
And then like you realize we've had these things the whole time, but like we kind of did, and we didn't understand the power that we had.
Exactly. And what Harry winds up finding out is the invisibility cloak that he was given is the actual invisibility cloak from the Deathly Hallows. And then the Resurrection Stone was actually the stone embedded in Slytherin's ring,
which lets you see visions of the past, but it never really brings anyone back from the dead.
Not really.
And then the Elder Wand, like we alluded to at the beginning of this, is it got passed around a lot.
Yes.
But is this wand that's been getting passed left, right?
Because I believe it must be gained through victory.
You have to defeat the user for the wand to be loyal to you.
Yeah, and part of the wizardly belief is that if you were to somehow possess all 3 Deathly Hallows, you would be the master of death.
Yeah, and it is cool though because that does come to light. Right?
It does.
He gets all of them per chance. He has all 3 of them, and then the end of the biggest spoiler of all, at the end of the book, Harry has to die.
Yep.
And does come back to life. And in doing so, the last Horcrux for Voldemort, the part of him that lived in Harry, their connection is severed.
Yes.
Oh, it's so cool.
I
love that.
So good.
I love fables. This is like all of my loves.
I know. It's all put together. It's a great one.
To that, the last question that I want to end with is like, there's a lot going around about Harry Potter today. And I think some people might be surprised even that like we talked about it. So what I want to ask you is, after all this time, why do you think that Harry Potter, the whole series by itself, is still a tale of our time? Like what does it have to give
Well,
us?
from personal experience, I was a nerd, an outcast, right? Throughout my childhood, and picking up this book, I was already a young adult when the first book came out,
Yeah.
and reading his story, it really resonated because I really wished that I could receive my letter from Hogwarts by owl mail.
Yeah, yeah.
And run away, escape, right, to this wonderful magical world.
Yeah.
And to that point, I think it resonates with a lot of people who may just not be comfortable in their own skin yet. But yes, it's a tale that teaches many, many things. One is that a single person, Harry Potter, or even Neville Longbottom, who at the very end manages to destroy the last Horcrux, right?
Frankly, Neville Longbottom is my reason to believe that one person can make a difference.
So there's so many little examples in the book that like even a supporting character can be the guy who changes the world.
Yeah.
That you can't just take people at face value.
And I guess, saying that too, I would even push that even as an adult, like when you look at these books and you dissect them and perhaps you find things you don't like, I think that's another thing that we can like learn and grow from, is finding those things that we don't like in these stories that we loved and being able to understand them or dissect like why they're hurtful, why they're wrong, and to kind of take that forward, I think is also just another thing that gives more to us to learn from them.
Right, gives them more meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all the time that we have today, everyone. Thank you for sitting with us in this journey.
Yes.
Our own journey through our experiences with Harry Potter, Hogwarts. We talked about, oh my goodness, so many things. So to all of you listening, thank you for your time. This has been our follow-up of the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. We'll catch you later.